Good evening, everyone. My name is Maico Arts, and I'm here at Paredes de Coura, a very nice fan weekend in Portugal. And well, we are standing here in the GBC circuit. This circuit has been set up by in total of 4 persons, actually 3 builders and 1 co-worker, being Marielle, this girl, and over there is Ben Youngman and his wife Leni. We together created a circuit with actually more than 100 modules, so that's quite a lot. And let's try to make a look and have a look around the circuit what we came up with this year. As usual, the easiest way to get started is at the end of our bridge, as it's quite difficult to get between the bridges somehow. And well, next to the bridge there's a blue module. It's my small wheel, and as you can see, it does have a small wheel. It was basically intended to make several modules on one motor. Well, this one didn't work that well, but on itself it works as a charm actually. Sometimes you get some old parts in the same idea as the module with the long axle. This one was started that way, but at the end it doesn't have it. But this used the very old 1979, 77 grey pistons. Then we have a conveyor belt with the dinosaur teeth. I'm glad mine are not that large. In the same line as the one with the central axle is a small sweeper module, and the orange one a conveyor module. Small modules, and actually the building instructions for them are on my website. Which is it? greatballcontraption.com? No, it's greatballcontraption.nl. So it's next to greatballcontraption.com. So everyone should be able to find it. After that, we are continuing to a Lego Mindstorms NXT module. It's a bucket which is being driven with 1 motor and being lifted with a 2nd motor. And it keeps driving around. That's one of the... Actually, it's the only module which is not permanently powered to a mains power supply. Next, we have a how do you call that? It is an iteration of my module with tires, where the tires are working like ball bearings, but in this case it has small cranks on it. Of course, we created it very flexible. Okay, just some balls here, who cares? They will be picked up later on. Sometimes someone gets an idea with only the knob wheels. They are mostly used in Lego models for grading angled 90-degree connections. And in this case they are used to transport the balls, as you can see. The next iteration should be a complete module. This one lacks an inbox, so at this moment it is not an official module, so we will not count it. It's actually one of Marielle's ideas. To give her a start to get started, she created one of my ball pumps. This case a black version. And recognize this one too. It's a small 10 by 10 size module, which is the smallest module possible in the Great Ball Contraption.
So there's a certain size, and you can't go below that in the module size.
Yeah, it is. The Great Ball Contraption says it should start with an inbox, the place where the module receives the balls. The inbox size is 10 bricks high and 10 studs wide and long. That is the minimum size of the box. So a module cannot be smaller than that. And in this case, I made a lifting mechanism to get the balls forwarded. Some people think this is plastic but not Lego. Well, it is Lego. It actually is the module which got me started into GBC in 2008 already. So that's 9 years ago. My wife does have a lot of clickets, and in 2008 she was toying around with the clickers with a Belgian GBC builder, and well, he got some ideas, and so my wife started building. She came up with the conveyor belt. Okay, honey, here's the conveyor belt. Now you can create the techniques around it. Okay. So that got me hooked into GBC. It got me started into GBC. And next, I started building and I kept on building. And I'm still building. Sometimes you see some nice ideas from someone else, like a ball counting module. This module is actually from Philippe Aubin, Philo, our French GBC builder. And when I asked him, can you come to Lego World in the Netherlands? No, it's not possible. Can I get the counter? No, it's not possible either. But I can just send you the pictures and the programs. And one nice feature of this one is if you use the remote control, you can actually find out what the average is of the balls. Well, I've never actually used it, but I have adapted the program to something very neat. Because sometimes you need to stop the module. Problem, if you stop this module, it also stops counting. And as soon as you start it again, it starts at 0. So I created a pause. And then I start again. So it now does have a possibility to stop the module, but not forgetting the number that has already counted. One of my ways to create a windmill, but this one does not use any wind. It still needs the motor, but it's in the basis like a mill where it picks up the balls and through an exit, going to the next module. Next one being a wheel, a larger wheel, thanks to the angled connectors. Continuing to a ready-made conveyor belt by Lego. They use them in the mining sets and use them in train sets to fill up the wagons with some stuff. But hey, why not drive it with a motor? Next one is how do you call that in English? It's a lifting principle. And well, someone uses some cardboard here, so the motor stops whining a little bit. Do you know that sound? Well, as soon as you know it, you will never forget it anymore, and you will never like it anymore. It's one of one of the symptoms. You know your motor is gonna die. Question is when. Motor's dying. Well, that's gonna happen anyway. As I said, question is when. Everything is running all day long. And because of that, it will definitely break down on you once in a while. And the question is to build it that good, or so it will last as long as possible, of course. Because at the end, that's what makes it expensive. Then the orange one is kind of a camouflaged orange, actually, because there are several parts which are not available in orange. Basically, this module is based on one technic part being the sloped beam used in the middle. And those beams are available in 9 colors only. So I tried to create 9 of the same modules in that color, in those 9 colors. I earlier referenced the tires being used as a kind of a ball bearing. Well, that's the red one over here. As you see on the dust and wear and tear, well, I think I need to rebuild it either or do a real cleanup. I don't know yet.
This one has aged quite a bit.
Well, several are aging. I tend to create my modules more sturdy, more reliable over time. And it has maybe 2 iterations. But this one, as you can see on the dirt, is already running for several years like this. Going around the corner, there's my original ball pump, which we have seen earlier. And we have just seen the orange one. This is a smaller version actually, with smaller pins and more a gear reduction mechanism instead of a worm gear reduction. Behind that, there's one of my one of the models I'm really proud of. It's one of 1.5 meters, but hey, who cares about a meter more or less? But it's a ball counting mechanism. It's a mechanical one. It uses the balance as a method of counting. Because what is happening, we all count to 10 in the same way. And when we are at 9, we ditch the 9, making it a 0, and the next digit is going to be a 1 up. Well, that's the same way as this one works. It has it receives 10 balls, and one will be going to the 10th lane, being the next digit. So these are the singles, the 10s, the 100s, 1000s, and 10,000. So in this way we can say that we have 10,000 plus 2 is 12,000, 150 balls being transported, being yesterday together. This idea has been seen. No, I have seen it while building a rolling ball clock, clock telling time using balls. A model, I think his name is Bob Kojima, and I found a building instruction for that module on Philo's website. And yeah, while building that, it gave me this idea. Next to it, we got the third version of my ball pump, the same one. Philo's ball counter again. And here's the second model of a ball pump. It's a double pipe version, as it's the same as the one we just saw in yellow. The mechanism is the same. In this case, it has a different way of moving the balls inside the inbox, because that's always a challenge to get balls from an 8 wide lane to a 2 wide lane. It always gives a trouble. And as Steve Hasenplug already told in one of the first GBC web pages, funnels are deadly. And he's very right. In this case, you also see a small light. And that's an idea I am using for the Scareback event in September. In Scareback, there's a dark hour. It's about half an hour to an hour, where the lights will dim out, and as much as stuff can be seen in what has been lit with lights or whatever stuff. In this case, I got some Lego parts which have a switch. Well, let's move the switch somehow, and it gives you some light. I don't let them burn all day long, because then the batteries are empty before one day is over. Sometimes you find an idea of a conveyor belt, and second, you find a lot of parts in a different color. I think there's only 1 or 2 sets which use this part in red, actually, and it's a different way of making a chain, and then using the motorcycle wheels to drive it. And on the other side, you need something else to get it higher up, of course. And in this case, this wheel is being used in Bionicle.
I like the trans clear Technic pieces there.
Yeah. That was the other point of this module. I would like to make a transparent module, and well, that was at the time I got a hold of those beams. And so because of those beams, I tried to make as much as possible in a transparent color. Then we see my iteration of an Akiyuki. Well, what's an Akiyuki? I think most of us do know who Akiyuki is. Akiyuki is a great Japanese GBC builder. He makes marvelous machines from that point of view. And this one has been created from a video from him, by myself. And well, even this one is already 2011, so 6 years old. And it's actually running quite well. And you see on the wear and tear and the dust on the parts and all connection points, your Lego is wearing out when doing GBC. If you are afraid your Lego is going to break, don't get started, because it is going to break. Parts will break and will die on you. Then we go around the next corner, a small module. Which has been created for a workshop in France. It has a 2-piston lifting mechanism. Earlier we saw a small 10x10 module. This is actually the original version of it. Okay, it's my model. Then we have a series of modules being driven by as few motors as possible. Because motor is as I told earlier, motors are the expensive way of the most expensive parts. And I wanted to come up with an idea to make more motors, no, the other way around, more modules being driven by one motor. And I also wanted to create it for a workshop module. And that was this double piston module. As you can see here, there's one XL motor, which is actually driving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 modules. And in here, we do it a little bit in the same way. Those modules are connected to each other. This one is on this axle. When you create a module, that's very nice. But if you have a lot of those modules on a small spot, you need to get something to get back again, because you want to go back and forth somehow. And well, the first idea wasn't the best one. I have an example here. This was to be created at the end of a module and then going back in that direction. Well, it didn't work well because of gravity, of course. It was too flat. And then the bolts will not roll and not continue. So I created a longer version of this module with 2 extra pistons. And I think some of you will recognize this too. Akioki has created a snake exit. You can bend it in every kind of curves with about an angle like this. Only his sections are much smaller. But I need it with little height less. I needed to cover more distance. So my segments are longer. And I used a different way of constructing the side lanes. Sometimes you give this building instruction to someone. Okay, let's start building. Well, they did start. And I came up with another idea for a conveyor belt, which was just a few of those bent beams like in here. And of course a small conveyor in it. Basically on the same, well, that was to be created at that time. But basically based on this driving idea. Well, with that idea, that person came up with this idea, this conveyor belt, a little bit bigger. It is double the size of the small module. When he came up with that idea, then I got a problem, of course. Then it was time to create my module too. Because, hey, how can someone else beat me on my turf? Well, of course, everyone is allowed to beat me, and from that point of view, because the more people are doing this, the more fun we can have together. Because that's, of course, one of the biggest positive ideas about Great Ball Contraption. Everyone can build it, everyone can buy, and we all can combine it to one big cooperation in one circuit.
Collaboration is the biggest part of it.
Yeah, yes it is, yes it is. It's very simple for one person bringing 100, as I can almost do. And but it's also still a job to maintain everything. And sometimes even a hard job, because you never know up front which module is gonna ruin your day. Sometimes you get the opportunity to buy Lego, and then you find a lot of those large balls, those Duplo balls, or Lego Master Arms. They have used them too. In this case, they come from the 2012 Lego first Lego League set. And someone gave the idea, make a magical module, like magic. There are small balls going in, large balls going up, and small balls exiting the module again. So if a kid looks at the side at it, it's a kind of magic. And I thought that's actually a nice idea. Well, this is the second iteration. The first one made a real mess of it. This one works much better actually. When I'm creating building instructions, then I need to test my building instructions, of course. If I create them okay, so you can build it too. Well, this is the second module being created by my building instructions. So that's why I have two of them. And in this case, it's a fourth module in this circuit. By the way, did you notice the small light? By just a small attachment on the module. You can convert it very simply, adding a light, and then when it's not functioning anymore or not needed anymore, disconnecting it. But all those lights do take some power. Everything you want to push in or let work takes power, whatever way you look at it. Continuing to the first yellow one, sometimes you get some parts, technic parts. A few bags. What is this stuff? Oh, okay, you create a GPC module. Okay. And then you see some examples of some people already give it a try. And I noticed, nah, that's not quite GPC. Okay, it does work, but okay. And of course, you help each other out to create and improve their models. But that also tells you, hey, it's getting time, you do that too. Well, this is my version. One of the challenges was, in those bags were no black Technic pins. Well, everyone who's building Technic nowadays knows there are a lot of them in a Technic model. Well, there's none of them in this one. It only has a turntable and of course the addition of a motor. And the rest was blue pins and the what is it called? The long pin with bush, to get everything together somehow. Well, except for some turntable exchanges, because they really do wear out in this configuration. Same as my green mill we have seen earlier. A turntable on the side will really well, break down your turntables. Sometimes you get an idea to just make a great ball contraption module from a set. For the guys who know everything about Technic, for set 42006. It's a mobile crane on tracks with a gripping bucket. And well, this module is being built with just that set. And of course the addition of a motor, because the set itself does not have a motor. But everything else is just from that set. And the second one next to it is a longer conveyor belt. Hey, the crane has a left and a right track. Combine it to one track and you get a longer module and a high conveyor belt. The idea was the previous one to get a track on the side idea. In this case, a normal track. Of course, you can find all these two building instructions on my website too. The next one is well, same as the Bionicle wheel we have seen earlier, with the red conveyor belt track created by different parts. In this case, this wheel has also been used in Exoforce in lime green. Such a part is actually an easy part to create, a wheel mechanism. I think you guys will know this red one, especially Tom and Brian, who has created it. And it gave me the idea to pick up the stackable idea. And of course I will not create the same module or use the same module. That would, from my point of view, not fair. So I created this one. And well, as you can see, I don't let it run because this motor has died. And it has some design flaws too. Because the cylinders are able to when moving, are able to disconnect the axles, which create the piston rods. Well, if that is happening, that's not gonna last, especially if you are put them in a stack, because it's always the wrong one which is breaking open. So you have to, if one of those modules is failing, you have to stop the whole stack, fix the problem, and then turn everything on. and then find out 10 seconds later the other one is letting you down. So this one, the next one, is my newest design, Rainbow version 3. Wire 3, there was one model in between, which I ditched after 10 minutes. When I created the second one, I noticed the gap between wasn't high enough for the balls to pass. I think I forgot something there. But this one is working already more than a year nowadays. And this is one which is not built by me, but by Lasse de Laurent from Denmark, being one of the contributors. And then continuing to the right for you guys, you see 2 stacks. Also some lights are attached to them, so that should give a nice look in Schaerbeek in September. And what I didn't see in your tower was balls coming down again. The balls only went up. And there was a pipe next to it where the balls came down. Well, that should be able to do it differently. And well, in this case, we can go clockwise up, and we also go clockwise down. I haven't tested it yet, but I think it should even be possible to make it counterclockwise. Maybe something for the next event. And if you look, there's a small difference you can see in the modules on this side. This one has a ring, and this one has not. Well, someone forgot to build them. But if you go a little bit down to this model, it has a ring vertically. So the module is created to be able to lift up the ring to gain extra height difference to create a stack like this. The module from Brian and also my first module had leg extensions. And as soon as you put a lot of modules in a stack, where are you going to leave the legs? And when I get your modules, and I get his modules, and her modules, and I have several modules, at the end I will give them back to you. Did you give me legs, yes or no? Where are those legs anyway? And for me, when I get something from you to borrow, I will give it as complete as possible back. Maybe a dead motor. Hey, apropos dead motor. Motors are dying, as we all know. In this case, the module has, like this one, it doesn't have a motor at all. But it's still running. Well, that's one of the ideas which came up, I think, at Contraption.com. Can we make that module, or can we create a module which is stackable and being driven by a central motor? And that's also a thing I wanted to incorporate in my new stackable module. Well, I did. You can see that here. This axle is turning. And if you can make a small detour to the one in front, the central axle is not turning. Well, in this case, the modules are being driven by their own motor. And in the stack, the modules are being driven, in this case, by the motor in the base of the tower. Each module is on top of its own base, and to create the height difference of which is needed to get up, of course. And each base has a motor, an XL motor. It should be able to drive to 4 to 5 modules, depending how smoothly they are running. The second tower, where everything is being lowered down, you can see that the XL motors on top. Why is that? I first started with the motor on top because that was the easiest way to fix it. And now it's time to create them in the base too, because someone has promised me 50 of these modules. 50 would mean divided by 4 is 12 layers, something like that. 12 layers, 12 on top of each other, that would be something like here, I guess. Well, one XL is never going to drive that, not one stack. And I am afraid even not with 2 motors, so one on the bottom and one on top of it. This upwards tower is the first one being driven with the motors in the base. And in combination with this one, it should be able to drive the complete stack with, well, in this case, 8 XL motors. What's the big advantage? If you want to help us with these modules, you actually don't need a motor, because I can use my own XLs. And if you do use a motor, I'm not burning your motor out, I'm burning my own motors out. So I won't give you the extra money cost from that point of view.
So it's easier for people to contribute modules that way because you're using some of your own equipment.
Yeah. The only wear and tear is the wear and tear in the module from sliding parts or axles moving through holes, gears. But those are easily exchangeable and not that expensive. If you are talking about cents or dimes or something like that, it's still different than we're talking about euros or dollars, or tens of dollars actually. Because one XL motor costs at the moment, I think 13 euros at lego.com. So that would be US probably 15 or something like that. So, well, is it expensive if you have just one? No. But if you have, like me, 100 modules, mwah, that's gonna help out. Previously, we have seen my blue module. This is my a little bit newer version, and also the snake exit being used. I needed to make a building instruction from the blue module, and well, it's like this. It needs some testing, if everything's working okay. Well, it's working quite well actually. Next we go around the corner. Some people think this is going to be Akiyuki's, which one is it? Invisible ball module, I think it's called. But the balls seem to be going up invisibly. It has a two piston beginning. And that's all my colleague Ben has made. And he's using it in this case to make it easy for the next one, being created by, also by Ben created, but created from Lego Duplo, the education parts. Because there is no technic in Duplo. Some people say there is the Tulo, which can use a tools to get everything together. But actually, those bricks are not the same. The bricks where you use the Tulo are the holes are slightly smaller because of the wiring and screw wiring. This is an older ball pump mechanism. You can find also building instructions on several websites. I think it's actually one of Philo's websites. A conveyor belt straight on. A small marble track behind it. And this is the bucket tower. I don't think it's the right name, but it's also an Akiyuki model. Our great Japanese GBC builder. Yes, I really love that guy for his modules. But then again, he's educated in that direction. I'm not. I just fiddle around a little bit, and I come to my ideas, and hey, it actually works. Nice. But yes, he creates very nice modules. Lego has created several themes, and one of the themes was Snap. Do you know that stuff? Yeah, you probably do. There's a lot of people who really wouldn't know what it is. Snap was a kind of a Knex competitor, and it didn't work that well, so they did stop quite quickly. Well, this green one is created with snap parts, and just the inbox bottom is being built a bit with normal pieces. It's well, Ben calls it a tenniser, like a tennis player, because it quickly continues moves the balls forward. This one I've seen also a building instruction from. I think it's from a Spanish guy, but I'm not sure if he's the actual original creator from this module. I think this one could be familiar to you. It's my first stackable module. This is a module based on Philo's sweeping module. And I know I've seen this before too, but yeah, I think it's a wider variant, and there's also I think it was a Japanese guy who has actually made some plexiglass parts of the same size to mark the outside. This is a spiral, also initially created by Akiyuki. It's an easy way to get the balls up for managing to a larger contraption. In this case, it's just used as a standalone module, which works perfectly, of course. Next, we see the jigsaw module from Philo. It's one of the. This is Ben's module. It's also one of the modules I got started in. What I always tell people, if you want to start a great ball contraption, you will find your idea anyway. You see something moving and you want to build that. But how do you actually get into great ball contraption? Well, then I say, use your idea to make it, to make your mechanism start, and use our ideas, our building instructions from modules already there, to get a hang of great ball contraption. What are we actually doing, or what not? Something is going wrong here. There should be a switch somewhere over here. Okay, and let's just continue again. That's one of my ideas I'm using. I'm using switches all over the place. Every module has their own switch. In this case, because Ben is using the old 9-volt motors, I am also using the older switches. That's in this case easier. If I'm using power function motors, I'm using also the power function switches. What's the big advantage? You can switch off the module which has a problem, and if necessary, you can switch off the module in front of it, and maybe a little bit more when the inbox is getting filled up too quickly. Because the second rule of great ball contraption is 1 ball per second. Well, what's 1 minute? But in that time, you should be you should have received 60 balls. Well, that's quite a lot. Most of the modules, especially if you build a small like we do, then you need the constant transportation because your inbox is going to fill up very quickly. Why do I build small? Well, actually, it's based on volume in my car. I don't have a truck to transport everything, and as you already know, I have almost 100 modules. If there would be 1 cubic meter, I would need a big truck to get them everywhere. That's not going to happen. I think this is the model of Jos David. I'm not sure though. I saw this model in one of my. I create my on my YouTube channel the movies. I follow a blue bolt through the circuit, and this model is in there, so you will see it in the movie. And I saw your reaction of Jos David. Hey, I found my how do you call the thing? Oil rig in. It's very well possible Ben picked up that model. Then sometimes you get some spare parts. What the hell do I do with it? In this case, it was a servo motor. As in great ball contraption, everything is running around somehow in a circle based, and a servo motor cannot do that. It can only turn twice 90 degrees from the center point, 90 degrees to the left, 90 degrees to the right. In this case, you see the servo motor being used, making its own twice 90 degrees turns, and then you need something to make that switch, because you are not going to do that by your hand all day long, moving a switch back and forth. I think you're going to do that 5 seconds or maybe 5 minutes, and then you get very sick of it. Well, that's you can see here. It's actually quite simple. Use the motor, a worm gear and a 24 tooth gear to slow it down, and which makes the motor, the switch being switched. So the servo motor will switch too. In this case, it's driven by a battery pack. If you don't have a battery pack available, but you're using a train speed regulator, because we really don't want to use batteries, we use train speed regulators with a extension wire. The extension wire do have a 9-volt connection, so you can very easily use the train connectors to power everything, even also the power function stuff. The servo motor will not work straight on a train regulator. and you can use a soldering iron or make the right the shortcuts. But I don't prefer to do that. I like to use original Lego parts, and I don't like to break them down unless being broken by the module. So there's a very easy trick to that. Use a empty battery box. Turn it in the same direction as you do with the train regulator, and hey, it works like a charm. This is Ben's a copy of my small module. You have seen them before. This one has another anecdote. It's an orange one with the lime exit. The first orange one was always jamming and jamming and jamming. It took me about 2 years to find out why the hell it was jamming. But as you can see, it uses small barbs, horns, teeth, whatever the part. And what happened, it was some points it was able to hook into a technic hole. On this side there are some beams. They have the flat side in the middle. The earlier versions were in the earlier versions had the holes of the technic beam to the middle, so the teeth were actually just able to grip. Well, as been proven earlier, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. It's called Murphy's Law, I think. Well, after 2 years I found the problem, fixed it, and it's working like a charm since ever since. By the way, did you notice the light here too?
All sorts of cool lights added throughout the modules.
Yeah, I have plenty of modules to go before it's I have lit up everything, and so I need to continuing from that point of view. There are plenty of modules to go. This is my red wheel with yeah, small arms on it. It's just red. Sometimes you get a nice set like the Toy Story garbage truck. And do you guys recognize this bucket? It's called Lego Clickets. And this entrance point, I've seen it on another module, combining it to one module. In this case, this one is driven by an NXT motor, quick and easy. I have a second one, which is using an arm mechanism inside, using a power function motor. And I do need to make a third and a fourth one. Why 3 and 4? Well, we now have servo motors, should be able to use it. So that makes 3. And how about the pneumatic one? They are not in this circuit this year, but I also have created 7 or 8 modules which are just running on air. You only need a constant flow of air. And when that's fixed, well, it's a very nice technique actually, pneumatics. And that's what I also want to do with this module. Because I think it's very suitable to do that. And if you look at the real model of the garbage truck in reality, it also uses large hydraulic pistons to lift the container or the bucket or whatever. And we now have longer air cylinders in Lego Technic since the Mercedes RX model. And from that point of view, it should be doable, of course. Well, from that point of view, everything is doable. Talking about garbage trucks, about 20 years ago, well, almost 30 years ago, I have been a truck driver, garbage truck driver actually. And the mechanism of that garbage truck to empty its backside, to compact the garbage, was actually this mechanism. A kind of a door opening up, going down, emptying the bucket, so we could, as the garbage man could fill it up again, and then it would go up. In this case, to speed up things, it will go up not completely and opening already to make a shorter cycle. Because as you can see, it takes quite some time to make it cycle. And in this case, I needed to. It was eating up my old RCX rotation sensors, because apparently they don't like it to be running all day long. And I have tried to use a new EF3 motor. The model is driven by an NXT, and it does work, but it's, from my point of view, the motor is too slowly. And I'm guessing that is because it's being driven by NXT. Maybe a Mainstrom's expert can elaborate more to that. But hey, it works. It works fast enough. And hey, you can see how dirty it is. It needs to clean up anyway. This one I also do like very much. It's my robot arm. I started with recreating Philo's model of a bolt sorting mechanism created from the NX2 set. And this set is, well, several iterations further. It's now a robot arm in 3 directions: turning, lifting, and its beak being open and closed. I kind of like it somehow.
It is a cool technique, you know, picking it up and turning and everything. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of those robotic arms are orange. This one has a little bit of orange. We have seen several ball pumps today. I think I haven't seen actually one working like this. It is an arm down there, and it's being pulled up and down by a crankshaft. And from that point of view, it's the arm is then pushing in the balls. And if you can see it here, you see those orange hockey springs. Remember those? Those hockey sets from 2004, something like that, 5.
All those sports themes they were making.
Yeah, exactly. There were some hockey guys. You could give them a bounce on the head, and then they would swing the hockey stick. And those springs are here used to keep the balls inside the pipe so they don't fall back again. A couple of years ago, someone was talking about the self-posterior. What the hell are you talking about? I don't know. Hey, I'm not studied in that direction. So, long live the internet. And so I found some information about it, which told me the self-posterior you can make a circular movement together with a diamond shape to get a straight line at the end of it. Well, very nice. But there's also this Belgian guy I've referred to earlier. He has already created a module which uses that principle. But reading and continuing to read is the 4-bar mechanism gave me this module. So there are actually 4 bars in it. This is the base of the 4-bar mechanism. Small one turning around, making it circular and also from that point of view being driven. The second one on this side. And of course the 2 connection points. What does that give? It does give you an half oval. It's an oval shape and being followed by a straight line. Going back in a straight line. The oval shape being upwards when lifting balls and going in a straight line down. As it's, you can work with number of digits behind the comma or the decimal point. And in this case with Lego is that a little bit more difficult. So you have only the singles or whatever. And so at a specific moment I had the mechanism basically ready. So then I needed to figure out how can I use this inside the module. Well, I tend to, okay, a little bit more. Yeah, this is a nice position. Well, you can see it in this module. I kind of like it actually. It has a lot of axles in it, instead of a lot of bricks or beams. The yellow one is my interpretation of one I found on Brickshelf long ago. And the one on Brickshelf, I think he called it the balance, because the moving part of this is in balance in his module. But I didn't like the inbox of the module. It was very small actually, and sometimes I needed a little bit more height difference. Like in here, you can see it has a height of 13 holes, which is more than 12 holes. Actually, is the same height as 10 bricks, which is the minimum. In this case, I have 13 holes, so I'm almost 1 brick higher. So I have hardly ever a problem delivering balls to the next module. Daar zit er een klem.
A little bit of a pile up here before we get to the big bridge.
Yeah. Because there's a light in here, the balls can get stuck down there, and then the agitator inside here is not able to move the balls again. Of course, we get now some spillage because the inbox is full. I'm guessing there are about 60, 70 balls inside of that box. But as you can see, it's already emptying itself. It works very reliably, if I may say so. By the way, do you recognize this module? It is the same as the yellow one on the other side. In this case, we skipped one module. It's one of my early sweeper adaptations. Still trying to use a funnel. Well, throw in 60 balls at once and you have a challenge, because you have the funnel problem. It will not work because of all the resonance and that kind of stuff. I will come to you. It's maybe a little bit easier for your microphone. It works quite well actually. So then we continue to the pump again. And then we have our small bridge. The easiest way to create a bridge is a conveyor belt. It's easier to make it more longer if necessary, or higher, depending on point of view, of course. Just a few more parts. The first one had I used the track system parts. Like I used that in the Racer Series 4, 5, 6. 2004, 5 or 6, also from that age. And my friend Ben, he told me, yeah, it's very nice, but the kids are not connected to the balls anymore. Because there's a couple of seconds before the ball is on the other side, you don't see anything at all. So since then I've been using transparent parts.
So you can see as it follows along the top of the bridge.
Exactly, exactly. And not only that, the first pillar on the exit side was a square built pipe, and it had some levels in it so you could hear the balls fall down. It worked, but where are the balls? Open your ears, then you will hear them. Yeah. So apparently they didn't catch it somehow. And then someone gave me an idea to use these mud guards. And of course I had already bought 1,000 of those parts. And now you can have the nice noise first, and secondly the nice, you can still view where the ball is going. You can see that in my videos when I'm trying to follow the blue ball. The blue ball is, Marielle? I think someone's creating a mess over there.
It's clogging up again further down, but I think we're just about down here at the beginning, so pretty much took us through the whole thing there. So one interesting thing about this show in Portugal is, so this is actually set up outside in a big tent here. Yep. Does that kind of affect the modules in any way versus some of the other shows you display at, being outside here and you got the heat and stuff going on?
Well, I haven't have that. I think the only one who really have a heat problem is us. Because that's also one of the things on great ball contraption. If you build a nice layout, you put it up there, and it's standing there all day long. Goodbye. And if you don't want to talk to the audience, that's your choice, of course. And then you see, quite often you see no one next to a layout. Okay, so the people have to find out themselves what it is. Okay, their choice. But in our case, great ball contraption always need attention. Yeah, we've seen some blockages somewhere down the line. People are fixing things. We are doing that continuously. And sometimes even people make comments on my videos. Couldn't you invest some more money to get some more balls? Get those cheap ones in China. Well, two reasons. One, I will not buy the cheap stuff in China. Why? I'm afraid their weight isn't correct. They might have the right size, But we have seen in the movie my ball counter. It uses a balance. If the weight is not the same, and we have first 5 light ones, and then 5 heavy ones, well, number 5 will never get in the lane. The lane will already be empty. So the 10th ball, which I need to count to 10, will never get in. So it will not count. Or the other way around, if you first have 5 heavy balls, then 5 light ones, then number 11 will tip over the scale. It's also not correct, because we are counting to 10, not to 11. So that's one reason. A second, if you have a small circuit, it's quite easy to keep the inboxes, well, let's not say full of balls, but filled with balls. That's much easier. If you have, like here, 100 modules, and you are running around the place, it's a hard work to get everything up and running first. And if the modules are emptying their buckets already where you are, it's going to be a hell of a challenge to get it going again. Because those balls pile up, and because there are several counting mechanisms, you don't want to pick the balls up here and put them at the other end of the circuit in. You would like to have a continuous flow through the circuit. And that's for me a reason not to fill up everything to its top. That's actually quite useless. Even though I have more than 1,000 balls with me. So, but I hardly ever use them.
Yeah, so it's amazing to see how much thought goes into this, like you said, with the types of balls you use, all the different modules, the motors and everything that you're using. So it's just amazing. I love that you guys put in so much work into this and keeping it going, because I think I always love seeing it. I know the public loves seeing it at shows. So I really appreciate you taking us through the whole thing here. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. And say hi to our American friends, of course.
Definitely.
Let them keep them building.